Welcome in, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hi, Sparkles. Hi, Teds Fisher. Hi, Lorna. Hi, James. Hi, Justin. Hi, Cable. Hi, Graham. Welcome in, everybody. Hi, Lily. Hi, Melinda. How's everybody doing tonight? Uh-oh, says somebody got filtered. Hi, Tank Girl. Happy Sunday, everybody. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Sav. Hi, Alex. Welcome in, everybody. Hi, Sapphire. How are you? Is what you, Lorna? Oh, Lorna, thanks for the shard of hope. And the pop and the populars and the divine fingers. Thank you, Lorna. And Lily, thank you. Justin, thanks for the popular in your heart me. Hi, Ashley. Welcome in. Hi, Denise. Hi, Bo. Hello, Drew. Happy Sunday, everybody. By the way, if you guys could do me a big favor. Hi, Lady Rose. If you guys could hit that share. Hi, Vibe Daddy. If you could hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner. There's a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs and it helps us grow our beautiful porch. Thank you, Kenneth. Hello. How you doing, Lady Rose? Did you have a good weekend? Hi, Jamie. And thank you to everybody tapping. Thank you for sharing it out. Yeah, she was fine. She left before that stuff happened, Cable. So Angela was fine. Welcome in, Wesley. I haven't heard any update, but I'm not really sure, Justin. Hi, Sue. All right, you guys, feel free to put your story requests in all capital letters in the chat, and I will write them down and we can vote for the stories. Thank you, Tater Tots. Thank you, Leslie. Hi, April. Hi, Vicky. Fairy curses, that's what I'm trying to find out. Hi, Skrilla. Does what say why, Lorna? Skrilla, I noticed you never request stories. Thank you for the follow, Salty Coast. Welcome to the porch. You were wondering too, Kenneth. Yeah, I haven't heard any updates. Oh no, Lorna, how do you know it was you? And no, it doesn't ever say why. It just says somebody was. Oh, that's a good answer, Skrilla. Nice. Lily, I got your request. Thank you. Hi, KJ. Deborah, thank you for the cute little wing. You have a new what? Catherine. Hi, Julie. Hi, Rabbit Hole. Welcome in, everybody. If you're new here, my name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And the list, for those who asked, is available on the Discord. It's also available on my YT channel on the playlist, but or you just get used to the stories the more you're in here, which most people have done, and then they just learn the stories from being here. But there is a list. Aw, Tank Girl, of course. I'm glad I can help people relax and fall asleep. Thank you, Justin. And again, if you guys want to write your requests in all capital letters in the chat, I will write them down. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Shells. Thank you, Shells. Hi, Phil. Thank you, Anna. Skrill a line about what? Who slept in today? You? Oh, it's a line from Chupacabra. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Despair. Oh, wait, never mind. Hi, Professor Who. Welcome in. Right, Lori? Yeah, I heard it made national news. Oh, from the witch story. Oh. Hi, Randy. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Tommy. Ravel. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Sunday. If you're new here, my name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I'm here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. Ooh, beefy, that sounds amazing. I love anything with peanut butter. That sounds incredible. Also, I do write and record all these stories myself. So if you'd like to listen to them when I'm not live, you can anytime you want on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. Also, tomorrow, I will be premiering a new story live on my YT channel at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Monday, we do a live premiere over there, and then I will come back over here and read stories at 10. But if you'd like to join us tomorrow at 7 p.m., it's really fun. Thank you, user. And no, not really. I have always been a night owl. I too struggle with sleeping. And so I actually don't really wake up super early in the morning for that reason. I'm not a morning person. So I'd rather be up this time anyway. Too soon for what? Tell me to let him cook. You're funny. You're funny. But it depends on the day. Like some days when I'm doing a lot of stuff, like on Sundays, I'm always really busy on Sundays and I have a lot to get done. So I'm a little tired by the end of the day. But usually I get a couple extra hours in the morning that equals the same amount as people who, like, you know, when you wake up at 6. I don't. I get up at like 9, 10, you know, so I get a couple extra hours of sleep. Sometimes Merlin will paw my face at like 7 for food, but hi, Jamie. Yeah, this is like our home screen. This is like the main background. Jamie's one of my real life friends. Welcome her in. She's the silly goosey. She's just about as out of control as I am. And I wouldn't fuck with her either. And she is the one that I always joke that, are you? Hell yeah. She's the one that I also told you guys, like, my friend, I'm like, I have this friend, my one friend always texts me as soon as I go live. It's always Jamie. But now I kind of love it. Now it's kind of a tradition where she doesn't text me when I'm live. I'm like, where's Jamie? But yes, that's my girl, Jamie. And she's a badass. She lives in Florida and I love her. And we share sky pictures with each other all the time because we're astronomy nerds. Yeah, she said, that's me texting right at 10 p.m. And I love it. But she also, she's in my list of friends. She is the detective. This bitch can find anything for me. She can find out anything about anyone. She can find anything anywhere in the world. I swear to God, this bitch can find it in like 5 minutes. Not even like a long time. She is my detective. I had this neighbor once, you guys. Here's a story. Here's a Devin lore. I had this neighbor once down the street, and I had recently just moved in. Skrilla. That's a good one, Skrilla. Do I want a zine? I'll pass, but thanks, CJ. So there was this neighbor down the street. I had just like moved in, and he was like blatantly walking by my house all the time. Every time I was out messing with my flowers, he would like find a reason to walk by, and he'd walk by like numerous times trying to get my attention, like with his dog or like. And so I started pointing it out to Jamie, and I was like, dude, this guy's doing this and this, and it's look. She's like, dude, that's not normal. He only walks by when you're outside. He like is always trying to get my attention. So I told her this, and I was just like, yeah, he's kind of hot though, like I don't know. And I'm not even kidding you, okay, because she knows my address, and she was like, how many houses down is he from you? And I was like, 2. From that, she in 10 minutes found out this dude's name, profession, how old he was, his zodiac sign, what high school he went to, literally if he was married, everything. And I was like, Jesus, Jamie. And she's like, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. He seems like a stalker. Don't do it. And like, she's so protective. And I love it. Yeah, she's like my little protector. She really did. And it was so funny. Yeah, you'd be surprised how easy it is. I don't know how, but she sure as shit does. And it was like so quick. And then she found out, and I was like, damn, wait. And then we looked it up, and there were questionable things, and we were like, but it was so funny because she was so like, nope. Yeah, well, that's what friends do. They will be stalkers to help protect their friends. Average, she said, I think, well, yeah, when it comes to your friends. Yeah, and because she's an Aquarius, dude. Do I need to say more? They are stalkers. You saw a Jabberwocky in the forest today, but it didn't see me. A Jabberwocky, isn't that like a dance troupe? Wasn't that like a really cool dance troupe that wore masks? You saw one of those in the forest today? That's pretty creepy. Yeah, I was just kidding, Peter. I was just kidding. A lot of my friends are Aquariuses. You guys are just very thorough. Like, overthink a little bit, and you just like to look into things. Yeah, the dancers. Exactly, Skrilla. The Jabberwocky, those are the dancers, right? The guys with the masks, the dance troupe. Jennifer said, I'm an Aquarius, and that is true. With the Jabberwocky. What is that? I don't even know what that is. Sue, which guy? Oh, the neighbor? Yeah. He did. He stopped coming by because, well, it's kind of a complicated story. He stopped coming by because I got engaged, and because I just kind of started ignoring him. Because I found out some things, and I was just like, not for me. Plus, my chiropractor was really against him too for absolutely no reason. And I feel like that was also kind of a vibe, like, It's from Alice in Wonderland. How do I not know what that is? What the hell? Everybody keeps saying that. What part of Alice in Wonderland? Like, what do you mean? Where in Alice in Wonderland? The giant caterpillar? I mean, which character? He's not a main character. See, yeah, I thought it was a dance group. See, I'm not the only one. Both are the same thing. Okay, well, anyway, I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what a Jabberwocky is, but anyway. Well, some people are saying Star Wars. Some people are saying it's a poem. Okay, well, cool, guys. And that's interesting. Hi, C. What's freaking you out, Krieger? It looks like a tree with a fish attached. That's weird. Interesting. Who saw one? Somebody over here on YT named Bud Morgan. You're a Libra, but you present as Aquarius. Nice. Yeah, someone over here on YT saw one, and they just said it didn't see them. Oh, it's from... Okay, so it's from the Looking Glass. Hi, Matt. See, Jamie just texted me. She texted me a picture of it. Ew. The fuck? Ew. You saw Jaeger shots, Skrilla. You saw one of those? Holy moly. I guess I should be glad I didn't see you. Anyway, I gotta set up the first poll so we can vote. I'll be right back. Welcome to the porch, everybody. And if you guys could do me a big favor, could you hit that share arrow in the bottom right hand corner? And then there's like a little circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts the live into your friends' FYPs. And it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. You can also do it throughout the night and like undo it and redo it. And sharing to your friends, sharing to your stories and sharing to your friends helps too. And thank you for everybody tapping the screen. You can also tap the screen over on YT as well. That does help. There's a little heart. It just helps get us pushed out so we can get more porch pals and I can grow the porch to an even more larger, amazing community than it already is. And I'll be right back with the first poll. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the porch. Grab a beanbag, grab a hammock, sit back, watch the shooting stars, and welcome to the porch. And as I always say, there is always room for one more. All right, you guys, the first poll is ready and it's up there. You can vote up to 50 times. We have the Chupacabra, the Maintenance Man, Huggin' Molly, the Bell Witch, and the Natchez Trace. And you can vote in the top left-hand corner right there up to 50 times if you are on TT, and you can vote for more than one story. And if you are not on TT and you would like to vote, let us know, and Justin or one of us will do it for you. Also, you guys, over here, Bud Morgan says that the Jabberwocky is an Australian Bigfoot, not whatever you guys were saying. So that's fascinating, Bud Morgan. I'm gonna write that down and look that up. The Australian Bigfoot, that's so cool. Are you from Australia? Thank you for telling me and sharing that. Who's gonna win, you guys? The Chupacabra, the Maintenance Man, Huggin' Molly, the Bell Witch and Opusa, or the Natchez Trace? Laura, you're from Australia. Hello. Oh, that's cool, Peter. I didn't know that. I love waterfalls. Hi, Tanisha. Bye, CJ. Where are you going? Where are you leaving? Lame. Hi, Dusty. Jamie. Jamie said, I feel like Lewis Carroll predates Australia. You're the fun. Yes, Damie Pie, it's very easy to explain. Lore is short for folklore, and porch is where I tell it. And stories have always been shared on the porch in Appalachia, and so that's where it came from. That's about it. All right, you guys, the Bell Witch and Justice for Impusa one. Yeah. Mwah. All right, you guys. Hi, Shorty. How you doing, cutie? You're supposed to ask permission in New Zealand. Cool. Thanks for sharing, Peter. Hi, Chaotic. All right, you guys. I will be right back with the Bell Witch and Justice for Impusa. Hi, Lisa. Lorna, you couldn't vote. Why not? Be right back. Hi, Rachel. Oh my God, Holly, that's so cool. You should totally go live from it. Hi, Mary. Okay, Holly. That's so cool, Holly. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the Bell Witch and Justice for Impusa. Thank you, Bakane. My friend Kim and I became friends on TikTok first. We just clicked immediately, like we were sisters in another life. She just felt like home to me, and our connection is truly a deep bond that I can't really explain. We had decided to save up money for a paranormal adventure together with a whole crew of the spooky bookies. And we were rolling deep. I'm talking Brittany, Elena, Ayana, Angela, Yaya, April, and Alicia. For our first paranormal adventure, we decided to go to Robertson County, Tennessee to research the folklore and poke around. Yeah, lovely, that's you, girl. Because the Bell Witch story had always bothered me. Not frightened me, bothered me. The way it was told, the way it was framed, the way the narrative blamed the neighbor, a strong-willed woman who had the nerve to stand up for herself against John Bell, and then was deemed a witch. The way the story always centered the Bell family as the victims. Evil witch, demonic haunting, cursed land. The same tired language repeated for 2 centuries without anyone stopping to ask who actually benefited from that version of events. As if the Bell family, who gained their wealth off of the work of enslaved people, were somehow innocent, without ever stopping to think how their way of life itself was in fact the unnatural evil energy that saturated that land. What happened to the Bell family was most likely the repercussions of their own inhumanity, cruelty, and complacency. The Bell Witch Cave sits like a wound in the Tennessee countryside. It isn't dramatic at first glance, no towering cliffs or theatrical entrance. Just a low opening near the Red River, half hidden by brush and limestone. People come here expecting fear. They bring EMF meters and night vision cameras and preconceived conclusions. They desperately try to find connections to the witch. They want something to jump out at them, something to justify the word evil. But we came because of the land itself. The Bell plantation once stood not far from the cave, and that detail is usually mentioned only in passing. John Bell, wealthy farmer, early Tennessee settler, respected man. That's how the story begins in textbooks and tour pamphlets. What it rarely expands on is what that wealth was built on. Enslaved labor. African women and men whose lives were owned, controlled, brutalized, and erased. Their suffering is somehow treated like historical static background noise to the real story of a haunted white family. But the land remembers differently than the people who write the history books do. I had been researching older accounts, not the polished versions meant for tourists, but fragments buried in court records, local oral histories, diary entries, and overlooked scholarly articles. Thank you, Akaro. Mentions of women who disappeared, of punishments administered out of sight, of screams that carried across the fields at night. Hi, Ange. Of a cave the enslaved avoided until they didn't have a choice anymore. Because the Bell Witch Cave wasn't where the haunting began. It was where the resistance did. When we stepped inside the cave, the temperature dropped in a sharp physical way that almost felt like we had crossed into a different realm entirely. Kim laughed and said, "Hold on, y'all, here we go." We were all excited and nervous because this was our first paranormal outing together as a group. The walls were damp, the stone smoothed by centuries of water. We could feel an electricity in the air, a tingling feeling like we were standing somewhere where something important had happened. And I just kept thinking about the women, African women, brought here in chains, stripped of language, kinship, freedom, yet still carrying cosmologies older than this entire country. Good night, Misty. Women who viewed the land as alive, as something you spoke to rather than conquered. Women who knew protection magic, not as superstition, but as survival. Hoodoo, root work, conjure. These weren't aesthetic practices. They were technologies of endurance. Now, John Bell wasn't just cruel. He was methodical. His punishments were designed to break the spirit as much as the body. Women targeted not only for labor, but for humiliation, violence, and control. The Bell Witch legend talks about invisible slabs and disembodied voices tormenting the family. But it never talks about the very real hands that regularly struck enslaved women. The very real screams that went unanswered. The very real blood that soaked into this soil long before anything supernatural was ever reported. Desperation sharpens clarity, and those women didn't turn to the cave because they were curious. They turned to it because there was nowhere else to go. The cave was mysterious and revered even then, known to the local indigenous people as a place where the veil between the worlds thinned. A place where the elements spoke louder than men. Earth, water, darkness, womb, and grave in the same breath. Those enslaved women didn't summon an evil spirit or a demon. They called on a protector, Impusa. Now, Impusa is not a witch in the fairy tale sense. She is an ancient elemental. She is associated with crossroads, caves, night travel, seduction, and punishment. Some believe she served Hecate, the ancient goddess of witchcraft, crossroads, and the underworld. Impusa always appears as a beautiful woman, impossibly graceful, almost hypnotic to look at. Ancient writers compared her to spirits that fed on human vitality, which is why many historians often describe Impusa as the original form of vampire or succubus. But she didn't drink blood. She drained people, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Thank you, Skrilla. She was seen as a force of punishment against arrogance, corruption, and human excess. Like a form of dark vigilante justice that appeared when people crossed lines they weren't supposed to cross. Long before Europeans ever set foot on this land, entities like Impusa have existed across cultures all over the world under different names. Not demons and not angels. Corrective forces, energy balancers, justice, karma. What those women did in that cave wasn't reckless. It was precise. They worked with what they had: roots, water, ancestors, blood, and breath. Thank you, Brittany. They bound their suffering into the land itself, not to curse blindly, but to anchor a guardian. They didn't ask for mercy. They asked for protection. And protection doesn't always look gentle, especially to those who are the oppressors and abusers. As we moved deeper into the cave, the air changed in a way that made every single one of us stop walking at the exact same moment. Yaya and I locked eyes, as if we both sensed something at the same time. The passage ahead narrowed into a low chamber, where black mineral streaks ran down the limestone walls like old water damage. My inadequate flashlight beam trembled across them, and for a split second, I thought I saw movement inside the stone itself. Long shapes shifting beneath the rock. Nobody spoke. Even Kim and Brittany, who usually joke when they get nervous, had gone completely silent. The vibration in the cave floor had deepened into something rhythmic. And then Angela asked if anyone else smelled something. It smelled like wet soil and river water, and something burning. Not smoke exactly, more like extinguished candles. Kim, who was behind me, suddenly stopped and told all of us to back it the F up, Terry. I turned around to ask what was wrong. Yeah, that's you, Ange. And she pointed past me toward the back wall. Now, Kim has a special gift, and she can see spirits and energy that most people can't see. So whenever she tells us she sees something, we all pay attention. At first, I thought it was just another creepy opening in the rock, but then I realized the darkness itself was moving. The shadows along the wall had begun gathering inward, folding together in slow, fluid motions. A shape emerged. It was a woman. A silhouette formed in the darkness. Moisture and flickering reflections off the cave walls. Parts of her seemed ancient and beautiful. Long limbs, hair moving like submerged roots. I remember seeing eyes, not glowing but reflective, like light shining across deep river water at night. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to run. But surprisingly, none of us moved. We were all just frozen. Ayana looked like she was about to cry, and Alicia looked like she was scoping the place for exits. The entity stood at the far edge of the chamber, watching us with an intensity that felt overwhelming. The cave had gone so silent I could hear the tiny crackling buzz inside my inadequate flashlight battery. The walls all around us seemed to flex outward, and suddenly, images started flooding my mind so fast they almost knocked me on my feet. Thank you, Jazz. Images of women kneeling in this exact chamber. Hands pressed into mud, blood mixed with river water. Images of a girl no older than 15, hiding behind the others while someone above ground screamed. Not random visions, memories, imprinted into the land. The cave wasn't showing us horror for the sake of horror. It was forcing us to witness. Elena kept repeating under her breath that she could feel people standing all around us. A presence. And then the figure moved closer. And the fear became almost unbearable then, but not because she wanted to hurt us, but because no human nervous system is built to experience something like this. But then I understood something that didn't feel like my own thought. It was that the land remembers what people bury. That was her message. Not revenge, not punishment. Remembrance. The cave itself was acting like an archive, and Impusa was its keeper. The story had survived distorted because distortion protects systems of power. If the entity was framed as evil, nobody would ask why she came. Nobody would ask who begged for her protection in the first place. The figure lifted one arm slowly toward the cave wall beside her. And for one impossible second, the mineral stains across the limestone looked unmistakably like overlapping handprints. Dozens of them. Small hands, large hands, pressed into the stone. Then my inadequate flashlight flickered, and they were gone. April gasped sharply behind me because at that same exact moment, every one of our flashlights in the chamber went out simultaneously. I heard Angela's nervous giggle in the back of the group, and then Brittany whispered, "I know you motherfucking lying." Alicia gestured to Brittany to shush, and Ayana was trying to keep everyone calm and quiet. Then we were in complete darkness. And then I heard a woman sigh directly beside my ear. Not a voice, just a sigh. Ancient, exhausted, real. And suddenly the fear changed. And what terrified me most wasn't the entity we had encountered. It was the realization that suffering this profound had actually happened here. Real women, real terror, real desperation powerful enough to stain a landscape for centuries. And then our flashlight suddenly lit back up, and the chamber was empty. Impusa was gone. All that was left was some dripping water and the raw smell of earth. As we moved deeper into the cave, images pressed into my mind without warning. Women kneeling on cold stone, bruised wrist with torn dresses. I felt their fear, yes, but stronger than that, I felt their resolve. A moment where survival shifted into defiance. And Pusa answered because she was meant to. What followed on the Bell Plantation is well documented in parts people like to sensationalize. Disembodied voices, physical attacks, psychological torment. John Bell growing weaker, sicker, unraveling. Thank you, Akane. His once brutal authority collapsing under something he could not whip, sell, or silence. The legend calls it a curse, and that word does a lot of work for people who don't want to say justice. Thank you, Skrilla, that's cool. John Bell died under circumstances so strange they terrified his peers. The Bell family suffered losses, madness, humiliation. Their power eroded, and their name became synonymous not with wealth, but with a haunting. Their land had rejected them. And the enslaved women? Their names were not preserved, but their work was. The Bell Witch was never attacking randomly. The violence had direction, purpose. This wasn't chaos. This was consequence. And Pusa did not linger to terrorize innocence. She stayed to guard the boundary. The land is not cursed. It's protected. Thank you, your boy. People who come here seeking thrills often leave unsettled, shaken, sometimes injured. They report scratches, nausea, disorientation, and they call it malevolent. But protection feels hostile to those who mean harm or are not pure of heart, even unconsciously. Especially to those who romanticize cruelty under the banner of history. Reframing the Bell Witch as evil allows people to mourn John Bell without digging into the man he really was. It allows the country to turn enslaved women into footnotes instead of the architects of resistance. And it allows violence to remain abstract rather than personal. But Pusa does not allow that abstraction. She anchors memories in place, and she ensures that suffering is not erased just because time passes. She makes sure the land itself refuses sympathy for abusers. As we turned back toward the cave entrance, the pressure eased, not because we were leaving, but because we had been understood. A quiet acknowledgement settled over me. We hadn't come to provoke, we had come to listen, and Pusa understood that. The Bell Witch Cave doesn't need an exorcism. It needs the truth. What happened there wasn't a haunting born of evil. It was a reckoning born of necessity. Enslaved African women denied every earthly protection, reached for something older than the system that oppressed them. And it worked. And Pusa remains not as a monster, but as a sentinel. The land remains hostile not to all the living, but to those who are not pure of heart. And the story only feels like a curse if you believe that John Bell deserved mercy more then the women he brutalized deserve justice. Because some protections never expire. And that's the tale of the Bell Witch and justice for Ampusa. And thank you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Damie. Thanks, Bo. Thanks, Justin. Thank you guys so much. Thanks, Sparkles. Yes, that has become one of my favorites as well. It's also one of my longest, but I really enjoy it. Welcome in, everybody. If you're new here, my name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. The heart me is cute. Thank you, Ange. And this is Porch Lore, and I tell spooky bedtime stories. Thank you, Wakane. Oh, thanks, Lisa. Yeah. Join us any night. I'm here every night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. Hi, Book. How are you? Hi, Susie. Nice to see you. Miss you. How are you doing? Thank you, Ange. I do write and record all these stories myself. So, if you want to listen to them, you can anytime you would like when I'm not live. You can find them on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. Also, all the links are in my bio. Okay, Lisa, thanks for joining us. Have a good night. See you again soon. All right, you guys, I will set up the next poll for us to vote for the next story. I'll be right back, and welcome to the porch. And yes, Lovely is right. If you check the banners or the signs on the porch, it says the name of my YT channel on the little wooden sign hanging to the right side of the porch with the little YT logo. See it right there? It says These Stories and More. That is the name. So if you ever forget or can't find it, take a look-see-loo at the screen, and a lot of the answers are right there. Hi, Songbird. Welcome in. So thanks for the reminder, Lovely. Oh, really, Susie? Thank you. Thanks, Lori. Oh, Bo's singing. Thank you, Diamante. Your boy cage. Okay, perfect. All right, guys, I'll be right back with the next poll. Welcome to the porch. And if you guys could do me a big favor, while I'm setting up the next poll, if you could hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner, there is a yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow our beautiful porch. Songbird, thank you for the club cheers, club victory, and club power, and cozy cryptids. Thank you. Show me so much love tonight. Thank you, Songbird. I appreciate you. All right, I'll be right back with the next poll. Welcome to the porch. And grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax. Hi, Thay. Okay, you guys, the next poll is ready. Thank you, Siobhan. Thank you, Tez Fisher. Your first time here, Lisa from Buffalo. Welcome in. And hi, Down Nola from Montana. Welcome in. Thank you, guys. And thanks, Taryn. Welcome to the porch, everybody. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock. Sit back and relax. All right, guys, I have the next poll ready for those of you who are voting on TT. We have the Chupacabra, the White Witch of Rose Hall, the Mothman, the Puckwudgies, and the Drowned Bell. And if you are on TT, you can vote in the blue box in the top left-hand corner. Thank you, Siobhan. Thank you, Kelly Jo. Thanks, Susie. And we have the Chupacabra, the White Witch of Rose Hall, the Mothman, the Puckwudgies, and the Drowned Bell. Who's it gonna be? You can vote in the blue box, top left-hand corner. You can vote up to 50 times, and you can vote for more than one story. Hi, Angela Hendrickson. Welcome in. Happy Sunday. Siobhan, I haven't done the Rougarou yet, but it is on my list of cryptids. I will do it eventually. I already have 3 stories in Louisiana, so I decided to wait a little while before I do the Rougarou, but I definitely plan on doing it. Hi, Iris. Thank you, Aussie. Welcome to the porch. Sit back and relax. Thank you, Down Nola. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock. Check out the shooting stars in the sky, and welcome to the porch. And as I always say, there's always room for one more on the porch, so feel free to share it with your friends. It always helps a lot. All right, you guys, and the winner is the White Witch of Rose Hall. So buckle up, porch pals. We're going to Jamaica. I'll be right back with the tale of the White Witch of Rose Hall. And welcome in, Aussie in Alaska. Welcome to the porch. While I'm setting up this story, feel free to hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner. And there is a little yellow circle that says repost with 2 arrows chasing each other, and it really helps. Helps us grow this beautiful porch. And I appreciate it very much. And sharing with your friends, all the good things. Thank you for the taps on the screen. We are already almost to 100,000 taps. I appreciate you guys so much. I love that. All right, guys, I'll be right back with the tale of the White Witch of Rose Hall. Hi, Amy. Welcome to the porch. Everybody welcome in Amy. First time on the porch. Also, just a reminder, I do premiere a new story every Monday live on my YT channel at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And tomorrow's story will be featuring Ange along with me. So feel free to join us live on my YT channel tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to get a first listen of the new story of the week. Quick swig and I'll be back with the White Witch. This was your first one ever, Kim. I love that. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society This is the tale of the White Witch of Rose Hall. And yes, Aussie, we are one big family. We are one huge community. We're all friends. This story is about my trip to Jamaica. About the beauty of the island, the warmth of the people, and something else, something darker. It was last summer, and life had been a whirlwind of stress and disappointment after disappointment. And if I'm being honest, I just needed to escape, to breathe, to find myself again. So I booked a trip to Jamaica. And not one of those all-inclusive resorts where you're surrounded by tourists sipping pina coladas by the pool. No. I wanted something immersive and authentic. Something real. I found a little guest house in Montego Bay, run by a local family. It was nestled on the edge of the jungle, surrounded by towering palms, banana trees, and flowering hibiscus. The air was thick with the scent of salt from the ocean, and the sweet, heady perfume of tropical blooms filled the breeze. It felt like stepping into a dream world. The family who ran the guest house was incredible. Miss Clara, the matriarch, was this tiny feisty woman with a voice like warm molasses and a laugh that could light up the darkest room. She had this way of making you feel like family the moment you walked through the door. Her cooking was out of this world. Jerk chicken so tender it fell off the bone, and salt fish that tasted like home. And fresh mangoes so sweet they made your teeth ache. Every evening we'd sit on the porch, sipping sorrel drink or coconut water straight from the shell, and she'd tell us stories. Stories about the island's history, about the spirits that lived in the trees, and about the legends that had been passed down for generations. Hi, Mac. Happy Sunday. And that's how I first heard about Annie Palmer, the White Witch of Rose Hall. Miss Clara told us about how Annie was this beautiful and cruel woman who lived in the 1800s at Rose Hall, a grand plantation house up in the hills. They said that her spirit still haunted the house, that she'd appear to visitors, her pale skin glowing in the moonlight, her eyes burning with hatred. I laughed it off at first. I figured it was just a spooky tale to scare tourists. But Miss Clara gave me this look like she knew something that I didn't. And she told me that some stories are more than just stories. but I didn't think much of it at the time. I was too busy falling in love with Jamaica. The island it's breathtaking. The jungle is so alive, so dense and green, with vines hanging from the trees like curtains, and birds calling to each other in the canopy. I would walk for hours, picking mangoes, guavas, and star apples straight from the trees, their juice sticky and sweet on my fingers. The locals would wave as I pass, calling out greetings in that musical Jamaican patois. It felt like paradise. But then, one day, I decided to visit Rose Hall. I had heard about the tours they offered, where you could just walk through the old plantation house and hear the history of the place. I love history, so I figured it would be interesting, a little taste of the island's past. But I didn't expect it to be what it was. The plantation only had one tour left for the day, so I signed up for that one, and I hopped onto a bus with several other people. There were probably about 12 of us total. The drive up to Rose Hall was stunning. The road wound through the hills, past fields of sugarcane and clusters of brightly painted houses. The air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers. And when we finally reached the house, I was struck by how imposing it was. It was this grand white structure perched on a hill overlooking the ocean, with tall columns and wide verandas. It was beautiful. But there was something eerie about it. Something that made my skin crawl. The tour guide was this cheerful woman with a bright smile and a voice that carried through the halls. She told us all about the history of the house. About Annie Palmer and her reign of terror. She showed us the rooms where Annie had supposedly practiced her dark magic, and the dungeons where she tortured the enslaved, and the spot where she was buried. I kept feeling like somebody was watching me, but we were the only tour group there. There was no one else on the property. After the tour ended, we were told that we had a quick break. So everyone from the group dispersed to hit the restrooms, eat some snacks, and walk around the property. Everyone else in the group seemed to at least be in pairs. I seemed to be the only solo one. Story of my life. So I decided to explore the grounds on my own. The sun was starting to set, casting long shadows across the lawn. And the air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers, and I thought I could stay here forever. I wandered down a path that led to the jungle, the trees closing in around me. Thank you, Skrilla, that's so cute. It was quiet, except for the sound of my footsteps and the occasional rustle of leaves. Through the lush undergrowth, I saw something that almost looked like ruins of an old building. Stones or something. For those of you who don't know, I minored in archaeology in college, and I'm a little obsessed with anything that has to do with finding artifacts or remnants of the past. So I immediately kneel down and I start to move the foliage out of the way so I can see what's underneath. And then it hits me and I realize what I've just found. 2 rows of evenly spaced out field stones. Field stones were oftentimes used to mark the burials of the enslaved on plantations. I think I just found the cemetery of the enslaved people who lived here. Oh my God, I have to tell somebody. By the looks of it and all the overgrowth, nobody knew it was there. It was starting to get dark now, so I ran back up the trail toward the plantation to alert the tour guide of what I just found. But, to my horror, the tour bus was gone. Everyone was gone. The group had left me at Rose Hall Plantation alone, and now the sun was almost completely set. This is the jungle. I'm not walking miles back to the guest house in the pitch black jungle. So, I managed to get the back door to the kitchen of the plantation house open, and I was able to take shelter inside for the night. The house was gorgeous, and it actually felt kind of cozy. I felt safe and protected from the creepy wild sounds of the jungle at night. I finished the last granola bar I had in my backpack, and I laid down on one of the fainting couches to go to sleep until the morning. Thank you, Lily. And then I'd walk back. Welcome back to the porch. Just as I started to doze off, I smelled a strong, sweet floral smell, and I felt a cold breeze brush across my face. I opened my eyes, and that's when I saw her. She was wearing a white dress, the fabric flowing around her like smoke. And her skin was so pale, it looked like she was glowing. Her hair was dark, cascading down her back, and her eyes, they were black like voids, and they were fixed on me. I sat straight up and froze. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. She didn't move. She just stood there watching me. And then she smiled. Thank you, Jules. But it wasn't a friendly smile. It was cruel and twisted, like she knew something that I didn't. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't even move. It was like I was rooted to the spot, staring at her. Then she took a step forward. And then she spoke, and her voice was carried through the air like a knife. You shouldn't be here, she said. This is my home. I don't know how I did it, but I managed to leap off that fainting couch and run. I didn't look back. I just ran as fast as I could out the back door and down the long winding driveway. My feet slipping on the wet leaves, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I didn't stop running until I was all the way back to the guest house, collapsing on the front porch, my heart still racing. Thank you, angelfish. Miss Clara found me laying there, shaking and pale. She didn't even ask what happened. She just handed me a cup of tea and sat beside me with her hand on my shoulder. She told me that some spirits don't rest easy. That night I told Miss Clara about the graves of the enslaved that I thought I had discovered at Rose Hall. She jumped up, got on the phone, and the next morning we met with the head of the Historical Society and a few government officials as I led them to the spot. I left Jamaica the next day, I couldn't stay, not after what I had seen. 2 months later, I received a phone call. It was Miss Clara. She told me that they had sent archaeologists out there who had confirmed that it was in fact the missing graveyard of the enslaved people who lived at Rose Hall. Thank you, Jules. Thank you, Lily. I like to think that their spirits are already at peace. But as for Annie Palmer, the White Witch of Rose Hall, we know her spirit is not at rest, and it probably never will be. And that's the tale of the White Witch of Rose Hall. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you, Jules. Thanks, guys. Katie, thank you so much. Welcome in, everybody. If you're new here, my name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. Thank you, Jerry. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I am here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till about 1 in the morning. I do write and record all these stories myself, so if you would like to listen to them anytime you would like, they are all available on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. Also, all of the links are in my bio. I hope everybody had a nice weekend. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax, and welcome to the porch. And as I always say, there is always room for one more on the porch. So feel free to do me a huge favor and hit that share arrow. In the bottom of the right-hand corner, there is a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. That button puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Also, sharing to your stories and sharing with your friends would be great. Tanisha, you're so cute. Thank you, guys. I'll be right back with the next poll for us to vote. Okay, Scrolla, what are we going to do there? Also, thank you to everybody who is tapping the screen, not only on TT, but over on YT and Twitch. Thank you so much. You can tap the screen. I appreciate it so much. Look for 50 cents. Okay. Yes, Angelfish, I'm going to set up a poll and we're going to vote on the next story. I'll be right back. Good night, April. Sweet dreams. Love ya. Okay, you guys, the next poll is ready. And thank you, Brooke. I appreciate that. We have the Chupacabra, the Ozarks Howler, the Dream Machine, which is a reworking of an Are You Afraid of the Dark story. We have the Puckwudgies, and we have the Salem Tour. And you can vote if you're on TT in the top left-hand corner. There is a blue box, and you can vote up to 50 times, and you can vote for more than one story. Oh, Maureen, you're so cute. Thank you. Who's it gonna be, guys? The Chupacabra, the Ozarks Howler, the Dream Machine, the Puckwudgies, or the Salem Tour? And the winner is the Chupacabra. I will be right back with the tale of the Chupacabra. No, Robin, I didn't see the moose video. And Cynthia, thank you so much. I just saw that You sent me a little gift in Venmo and titled it Sleep Therapy. And that is just, you're so incredibly sweet. Thank you. I don't think you are an active chatter because you have never claimed that you were the Cynthia who does that. But I know you're in here and I appreciate it so much more than you even know. So, Cynthia, thank you for the sweet Venmo sleep therapy gift. It is greatly appreciated. Be right back. Matt. Matt. Is that what I do? Good night, April. Love you. Sweet dreams. I feel like scorched earth is like when you drag someone. Like, I don't know. Scorched earth would be if I like pulled up their profile and started like clowning the shit out of what they look like and their family and their character, right? I don't feel like I go scorched earth. Hi, Jack. Yes, I'm about to start the next story, so you are here in perfect time. Aw, Cable, don't ever worry about it. Trust me, I get it. I haven't been financially stable for a while, ever since I basically quit my career. So I get it, and I love that you're here. And guess what? Sharing out, tapping, writing keywords and comments, all of those things are equally helpful and they're free. So do not feel bad about the gifts, please. Because I appreciate you guys being here with me. Uh-oh, did you guys hear that? Merlin. Did you guys hear him? Oh my God, he's so cute. You want out? You don't want to stay for the other stories? Huh, Merlin? You want to leave? Did you guys hear that little meow? He's so cute. Meow. He wants out, so give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to let him out. Be right back. I know, did you hear his little meow? Good night, Adrian. Merlin's so cute. He has me wrapped around his little paw. I will drop anything for him. As soon as he's like, meow, I'm like, whatever you want. Way to go, Brooke. Exactly, Songbird, exactly. The people's presence here is the gift. Watch time is also very important to TikTok. So like those of you who stay here the whole time, that is actually really helpful for the algorithm. That shows that I keep people engaged the whole time. So those of you who don't gift at all and don't even your watch time helps me immensely. Oh yeah, you're W. I forgot. Forgot Jade wanted me to call you W. W. Carly, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the porch. Oh, thank you, Laura. I'm so glad. Thank you for saying hi. I love when the silent watchers say hi randomly. It just makes my heart happy. And I love that you guys are here. And it means a lot because in the stats, it shows that I have people who watch the whole time. And I'm always like, I can see who you guys are. And when I look at the stats, I'm always like, thank you. But I know you guys are the introverts of the group. And one of my best friends is an introvert. And she told me, don't you dare like acknowledge them and call them out and make them talk to you on the live or they'll stop coming. And I was like, okay. So I just want you silent watcher introverts to know I appreciate you. I love that you're here. I will not make you talk to us, but thanks for being here. Your watch time means a lot and it does make a difference. Quick swig and I'll be back with the chupacabra. Oh, thank you, Dania and Monique. Thanks. Yeah, I know, Andrew, but you're working, so I understand. A lot of people are working too. Thank you, Denise. Hi, Kim. Kim, we read Impusa earlier. You missed it. She won. I think that was the first poll. Oh, thank you. I didn't have Jade here to remind me the baby's hiding. Can you guys see the baby now? Can I just say what's so funny is I was hesitant on whether I should put a baby cryptid in a story or whether, because I have more women that watch than men anyway. And I was like, are the men going to be like, this is just fucking ridiculous. This isn't scary at all. What the fuck, you know? And so I was hesitant to put the baby in the story. And then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? That's me. This is what I like to paint cryptids differently than the way they're always painted. And I thought the baby element would really add to the chupacabra legend. And you guys have not disappointed me because you guys have loved and embraced this baby chupa. So thank you guys. I know because we have an amazing community. So, of course you have Andrew. You're always here. Are you kidding? And you've listened to all of my stories. That's like, I'll never forget. That's like the biggest compliment you could ever give me, is that you've listened to all of my stories. That's an honor. Thank you. You know what? I really appreciate that, Matt, because that is legit my goal. Because I believe nothing is that black and white. Nothing's a pure anything, right? I think everything has its redeeming qualities, and I like to try to make cryptids and ghosts and stuff seem a little bit more so you can empathize with them. Kathy, thank you for that poetry score. I love that book. It is so pretty. But anyway, so thanks for embracing the baby chupa. And CJ came earlier and then he left abruptly. I'm not sure why. So feel free to hound him until he comes back. I'm just kidding. Exactly, Michelle. And that was my goal. That was the whole goal, was to find a way to get the audience's sympathy for a cryptid that has long been feared and called a goat-sucking, blood-sucking, terrifying, And so I thought maybe her hunting with her baby, teaching it how to kill goats would be kind of a cute way to just maybe approach things a little differently than the narratives we hear. Oh my God, Tao. Hi. Tao's over on YT. Hi. Yay. Tao's here. Okay, I'll be right back. And Robin, that's also something I like to try to remind people of is, yes, as humans, we are in fact the aggressors to every other species. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Palace Society, this is the tale of the Chupacabra. And Andrew, YT is behind because I am streaming from a third party that has to go through Restream, and it's also doing Twitch. So if I were to do it through the YT app directly, it would be on the same time. But since it is restreaming through a third-party app to be able to cross-stream, it has a little bit of a delay because just like live television, there's a little bit of delay because it has to be sent through a program to come back out. But if I were doing it directly from YT, it would probably be the same exact timing as TT. But I'm using Restream, and that sends it to Twitch and YT, and I believe there's just a little bit of a delay. That's why I have to wait a few seconds when I switch stories. Yeah, right, Skrilla. That's why thank you, Andrew. That's why when I switch stories, I have to wait a few seconds because the background on YT doesn't switch as quickly as it does over on TT. So I have to wait for that delay before I start the story. Be right back. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Palace Society. This is the tale of the Chupacabra. Oh my God, Skrilla, that would literally be a dream. Most people think they know what a Chupacabra is. If you ask someone in the United States, they usually describe a hairless dog-like creature with gray skin and glowing eyes. Sometimes they'll show you photographs of mangy coyotes that newspapers labeled as chupacabras 20 years ago. But that isn't the creature that terrified Puerto Rico. And that isn't the creature that launched one of the most explosive cryptid panics in modern history. And that isn't the creature that I went looking for. I became fascinated by the Chupacabra because of how the story just suddenly appeared. Legends usually evolve slowly. Bigfoot stories can be traced back through generations of indigenous traditions. Lake monsters often have centuries of reported sightings. But the Chupacabra was different. It exploded into public awareness almost overnight. In 1995, livestock across Puerto Rico began turning up dead under bizarre circumstances. Goats, chickens, rabbits, and other animals were found completely drained of blood. Witnesses described puncture wounds on the neck and chest, and that there was surprisingly little blood at the scene. Then came the sightings. Thank you, Robin, so much. The original witnesses weren't describing a canine. They described something far stranger. A creature standing roughly 4 to 5 feet tall. Dark gray skin, large red eyes, spines running down its back, long arms ending in clawed fingers. A body that moved in short bursts, sometimes upright and sometimes hunched. People across Puerto Rico reported seeing the same thing. And the epicenter of the panic became the city of Canavanas. Hundreds of reports poured in. The mayor at the time became so convinced something was stalking the countryside that organized searches were conducted. Whether those reports represented hysteria, misidentification, or something genuine remains heavily debated. But one thing is undeniable. The people reporting these encounters were terrified. And the folklore itself became tangled with older traditions. Thank you, Robin. Puerto Rico's cultural history is a blend of indigenous Taino heritage, Spanish influence, and African traditions carried by enslaved people. And long before the chupacabra name existed, stories already circulated about predatory night creatures lurking at the edges of settlements. Shape-shifting entities, forest spirits, blood-drinking monsters, guardians of places humans weren't meant to enter. The chupacabra may have been new, but the fear it awakened was ancient. And that was exactly why I booked the flight. I wanted to understand how a legend could emerge so quickly and yet still feel so old. So I traveled to Puerto Rico, specifically Canavanas. I arrived during wet season. The countryside was astonishingly beautiful. Rolling green hills, dense tropical forests, banana groves, mist-covered ridges. Everything felt alive. The humidity wrapped around me the moment I stepped outside the airport, and by the time I reached Canavanas, my clothes felt damp. I spent the first several days doing what I always do when researching folklore. I talked to people. Farmers, local historians, park workers, longtime residents. Not everyone believed in a chupacabra. Even the skeptics treated the legend with a strange degree of respect. People laughed about it, then lowered their voices. People dismissed it and then admitted that they avoided certain areas after dark. People claimed it was nonsense, and then told me about livestock deaths they couldn't explain. The reports shared remarkable similarities. One elderly farmer described a region locals rarely entered after dark. Not because of the chupacabra specifically, but because strange things had happened there long before the chupacabra became famous. And that caught my attention. In folklore, ancient legends often survive by attaching themselves to newer stories. And over time, people's interpretations of their experiences take different forms and languages change. So I wondered if the chupacabra was merely the latest name for something much older. A week into my trip, I decided to explore one of those remote regions for myself. The area sat several miles outside of town. A patchwork of overgrown fields, limestone outcroppings, and dense tropical forests. The terrain was rough and steep and wild. Exactly the sort of place where people could convince themselves they saw monsters. I parked near an abandoned farm and I started hiking. Trees erupted through old foundations and rusty machinery disappeared beneath vegetation. Everything felt suspended between civilization and wilderness. I spent most of the afternoon documenting the area, photographing old structures, taking notes, comparing locations against historical reports, and nothing unusual happened. Well, not initially. The first thing I noticed was the silence. The rainforest had been loud all day. Birds, insects, tree frogs. And then suddenly, nothing. The change happened so gradually that I hadn't even noticed when it happened. The air itself seemed to be listening. My instincts began whispering, not panic, just awareness. The same sensation hikers often describe before realizing they've wandered into a predator's territory. I looked around carefully and nothing, just jungle. Dense green walls stretching in every direction. I continued forward and the silence followed. And then I found the goats. 3 of them, dead, lying near the remains of a collapsed fence. At first glance, they appeared untouched, no obvious signs of a predator. But something about it seemed wrong. I approached cautiously, and there were wounds, small punctures near the chest. Thank you, Cree. Not dramatic, subtle, almost surgical. I took photographs. The ground was hard and rocky in the area, so I didn't see any tracks from an animal. Whatever had killed them hadn't left any obvious evidence. I reminded myself that there were rational explanations like disease and parasites. And then I heard movement. A brief rustling behind me. I turned immediately, and there was nothing. Everything stood motionless. I waited. The feeling of being watched intensified. Every instinct in my body recognized it. Something was observing me. I slowly scanned the tree line, and then I saw it. At first glance, I thought it was a person crouching among the vegetation, which was honestly more horrifying. But then it moved. The creature unfolded from behind a cluster of palms. Its movement reminded me of both a primate and a large predator. It stood approximately 4 feet tall, maybe taller. Its skin appeared dark gray, not fur, skin, tight against its lean frame. Its head was large. Its eyes reflected ambient light, and along its spine, rows of raised structures protruded from its back. Not exaggerated spikes like horror movies, more like ridges. Organic, natural. Hi, Tommy. The creature wasn't charging me or puffing up to appear threatening. It wasn't stalking me. It was just watching me, studying me. The intelligence in its gaze was what startled me the most. Predators usually look through you like you're just food. But the chupacabra looked at me, like there was curiosity there. I froze. Every survival instinct told me not to run. Then the creature tilted its head slightly. And then another movement caught my eye. A second figure, smaller, partially concealed to the side. Oh my God. There were two of them. The smaller one remained hidden among vegetation. And once it saw that I had noticed the smaller one, the larger one stepped forward. Only a few feet, but enough. Enough for me to see details. The limbs were long, the fingers ended in dark claws, and its chest expanded slowly with controlled breaths, like it was trying to catch its breath. Its skin bore scars, old scars, crossing its body in pale lines. And for several seconds, neither of us moved. And then something happened that I still struggle to explain. The larger creature looked toward the dead goats, then looked at me, then looked over toward the forest where the smaller one was hiding, and then back at me. A sequence, deliberate, an attempt to communicate with me, as though it understood exactly what I was documenting, and it wanted me to know why. I crouched down and I kneeled on one knee as an attempt to show that I meant no harm, that I was not a threat. And then I watched the creature let out a deep, long breath, a sigh of relief that made my heart break a little. The moment stretched out for what felt like an hour. We just stared at each other in awe. Then the smaller creature made a brief clicking sound, and the larger one reacted instantly, and it leapt back into the trees. And just like that, they both vanished. Their movement was so fast and efficient that the jungle swallowed them almost immediately, and within seconds they were gone. Thank you, Kim. I stood there for several minutes, trying to process what had just happened. Eventually, I started to hike back to my car, and the walk felt much longer than the hike in. Every shadow seemed alive, every rustle demanded attention, yet nothing else happened. By the time I reached the road, daylight was fading rapidly. I drove back to town, my head spinning, with more questions than answers. What did I experience? I honestly don't know. Maybe an unknown animal. Maybe something folklore eventually wrapped itself around. Or maybe the legend exists because people occasionally stumble across something that doesn't fit neatly into our categories. What I do know is this: the forests around Canavenas are older than the Chupacabra legend. And the fear attached to those places is older too. And long before newspapers printed the word chupacabra, people were reporting strange encounters in those hills. Something inspired those stories, and something continues to inspire them to this day. And if you decide to explore those forests yourself, remember that not everything unknown is a threat, and not every mystery wants to be solved. I went looking for a legend, and what I found was a reminder that there are still corners of the world where creatures continue to evade their biggest threat, and that is human entitlement and destruction. And they just want to be left alone in peace. I don't know whether the chupacabra is supernatural or merely an animal that science hasn't cataloged yet. Thank you, Tommy. But I can say this. I encountered something in that jungle that was just as scared of me as I was of it. And the terrifying creatures that cryptids warn their young about are humans. And that's the tale of the chupacabra. Thank you, Sherry. Hi, Rachel. Welcome in, everybody. If you're new here, my name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I am here every night from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. Aw, thanks, Sherry. I do write and record all these stories myself, so if you would like to listen to them anytime you want, they are available on my YT channel as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. I also do have some really cute, fun merch that I think you guys will like, even if you don't want to buy anything. I think you'll enjoy looking at this stuff. Lots of our inside jokes and fun things about the stories. It's on the yellow banner up above. It's just the Porch Lore and then dot and then store. Feel free to check it out. I hope you guys love it. Also, you are able to request any one of the backgrounds that I have as a print, and I will put it up on the store for you to order. That's okay, Mary. How cool. That's fun. Oh, Matt, yes. I can't wait. You better post a picture in the Discord. All right, you guys, I'll be right back with the next poll for us to vote for the next story. Welcome to the porch. XTR, thank you for the singing frogs. Those are so cute. Thank you, guys. I'll be right back. Hi, Spooky Bestie. Thank you. Thank you for the popular Tommy. Thanks for the little wing. Okay, you guys, the next poll is ready. And no, Tao, I didn't see it. I don't get the joke. I see it, but I don't get it. Good job, Reverend. All right, guys, the next poll that's ready is The Door in the Water, which is the Selkie story. We have the Ozarks Howler. We have the Camper Van. We have Rain Crow's Shelter. And we have the Djinn. And you can vote in the blue box in the top left-hand corner. And you can vote up to 50 times, and you can vote for more than one story. We have The Door in the Water, Ozarks Howler, the Camper Van, Rain Crow Shelter, and the Djinn. Who's it gonna be? And thanks, Michelle. That's always like that. You must have just noticed. Because it's always like that. It's always there. It's how I trick TikTok. That's okay, Michelle. Every once in a while, someone notices and they ask me about it. I think the reason you're noticing it right now is because that background's super pink and bright. But yeah, it's always down there. I had to change the way I did it a couple months ago when it was giving me all those restrictions. So it for some reason likes it on the front. It doesn't like me switching it to the back. So I just keep it in the bottom front. I don't know why, but it seems to keep them happy. So I'm like, all right, whatevs. But thank you for letting me know, Michelle. I always would prefer someone let me know. Like when you have something in your teeth, I would much rather let somebody let me know when they see something, and then I can just be like, oh, it's supposed to be like that. Rather than be like, oh my God, why did nobody tell me? So I appreciate you so much, Michelle. I love you. So glad you're here. Pippa, I feel like you're the only one that happens to, and I don't understand it. I feel like we need to give it a goog and see why that happens, because no one else ever has that problem. I feel like that's so weird. And I'm so sorry, Pippa. All right, you guys, the winner is the Djinn. Woo! I will be right back with the tale of the wind that knew my name. Pippa said, why am I so unique? I don't know. You're special, Pippa. What's my favorite background? That's a good question. I think you mean for the stories? I actually really like the Natchez Trace one. I think it's beautiful. I also really like the Impusa one. But I think I would say the Natchez Trace one is probably my favorite. Really, Matt? That's funny. That's so funny. All right, be right back with the tale of the Djinn. Yeah, I really do like the library one too. No, Sherry, she asked what my favorite background was, not my favorite story. My favorite story is The Hitchhiker, but that's not my favorite background. Oh, that's okay, Sherry. Hitchhiker will always be my favorite. Aw, thanks, Sherry. Oh, crawl space is your favorite? I didn't know that. What's everybody's favorite story? Let me know in the chat if you have one. Oh, Jules, I haven't made the socks yet. Damn it, I'll do it tomorrow, I promise. I promise. I wrote it down on my little tablet. I will do the grilled cheese socks tomorrow, I promise. Maybe I'll even do them after the live's over. Yeah, Tesla, I knew that one was yours. Maintenance Man, Molly, Crawl Space, Carnival. Oh, I believe it, Andrew. Gina, yeah, you'll get a favorite eventually, and I'm glad you knew. I'm glad you're here. Magnolia House, Summer After College. Really, Arlo? I love that. That's not one that's constantly asked for. So like Crawl Space and stuff, I'm not surprised. But Summer After College, thank you. And yes, Lady Rose, I knew Magnolia House is your favorite. I can tell. The Mass Visitor, definitely. I knew that was yours, Michelle. Jasmine, the Crawl Space, yeah. We're doing actual story right now, Holly. You're so cute. Thanks for clarifying. Oh, Holly, you're so smart and cute. Footprints on the Lake for Catherine. I love hearing these favorites. Tanisha said my favorite story is the one that made me throw all my earrings away. The Crawl Space. The Mad Scientist. Okay, Pixie. Yeah, this helps me a lot, so I can add these more often to the polls. Red Coat and Carnival from Sandy. Thomas Hotel and Highway 13. Professor Hyde and Chupa. Yeah, Justin's is clearly the Sycamore Diner. Crawl Space, Bell Witch, Hitchhiker, Footprints on the Lake. Sherry loves them all. I love you. That's so sweet. Last Summer Carnival. Oh, you guys are so sweet. I just love hearing which ones. The Footprints on the Lake. The Tree People. Hitchhiker, me too. Crawl Space and Last Summer Carnival. Crawl Space does seem to be the most popular. And Carnival seems to be pretty popular. The Clover Club. That's a cooler name than what I named it. It's actually the Clover Door, but the Clover Club would have been way better. I love alliteration. Really should have done the Clover Club. All right, so the winner is the gin, and I'll be right back. Welcome to the porch. And if you guys could do me a big favor and hit that share arrow in the bottom right hand corner one more time, there's a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. You can undo it and redo it if you've already done it. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Also, Gina, that story is called Ash Grove. All right, guys, quick swig, and I'll be right back with the gin. Aw, Sherry, thanks. I agree, Matt. I love that episode, and thank you. Aw, thanks, Gina. That's so sweet. That's okay, Kim. I totally understand. If you're listening on Audify later, the actual titles are when I come in and say, and I'm your host, Devin. And I say, this is, and I say, this is the tale of, that's the actual title. The things I title it for, like the title of on, like, when you're searching online, those are just keywords. So the actual title is just, I'll say it at the beginning credits, basically. You like this one, Deborah? Thanks. Yeah, same, Beefy. I love that episode of Evil. Oh, Mary, you're the best. Thank you. That's so sweet. Matt. Yeah, a lot of people are like that. Oh, thanks, Sherry. I'm going to continue to add to it when I add new stories. That's okay, JK. Welcome back. We're happy you're here. All right, quick swig and I'll be right back. Yes, Pixie, but not live, just my stories. That's why I always say I'm available on all of the podcast streaming sites as well. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Palace Society. This is the tale of the wind that knew my name. Tao, I just saw it and that's so funny. He said, why did this aircrow receive an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. That's a good one, Tao. Long before the modern world tried to categorize everything as real or unreal, science or superstition, there were cultures that accepted something far more complicated. That not everything unseen is imaginary, and not everything unknown is dangerous. In Islamic tradition, there exists a class of beings known as the jinn. They are not ghosts, and they are not demons. And they are not myths in the way most people think of myths. In Islamic theology, the jinn are considered a separate creation entirely. Humans, according to tradition, were created from clay. Angels from light, but the jinn were created from what is described as smokeless fire. They are said to live in a world that exists alongside ours, not beneath it and not above it, but overlapping, intersecting in ways we rarely notice. And like humans, the jinn are believed to have free will. That means they are not inherently good or evil. They can be kind, they can be cruel, they can be curious, indifferent, mischievous, protective, or something that doesn't fit neatly into any human category at all. Many Islamic traditions describe them as beings that inhabit empty or overlooked places, deserts, ruins, crossroads, thresholds, liminal spaces, spaces between things. They are often associated with sudden movements of air, unexplained sounds, objects shifting when no one is there. And most notably, moments where reality seems to misalign just slightly. What makes the idea of the jinn even more interesting is how closely it mirrors other folklore traditions around the world. In Ireland, the Ishi are said to exist alongside humanity, unseen but present, capable of interacting when they choose. In Japan, yokai are known for their unpredictable behavior, sometimes helpful, sometimes mischievous, often misunderstood. In parts of Africa and the Caribbean, spirits tied to nature are believed to interact with humans in similarly complex ways. Even in European folklore, trickster entities appear again and again. Not purely malicious and not purely benevolent, but deeply curious about the human world. The pattern repeats across cultures that never directly influenced each other. Different names, different descriptions, but the same underlying idea. That something exists alongside us. Something that doesn't always follow the same rules that we do. I had read about the jinn long before the night I encountered something that I still struggle to explain. Like most people, I found the concept interesting but distant. Something tied to a specific cultural framework. Something I respected but didn't expect to experience. But that changed the night I stayed in a desert town where the wind sounded like it never stopped. The town sat on the edge of a wide stretch of open desert. The kind of place where buildings seem temporary compared to the landscape around them. Low structures, flat roofs, sand pressing against everything. Even during the day, the air carried a constant low wind that moved through the streets like a slow breath. At night, that wind became more noticeable. Not stronger, just more present. It filled the quiet, moved along the walls, slipped through cracks in doors and windows. I had rented a small room above a closed shop on the edge of town. Simple space, one bed, one window. A narrow hallway leading down to the street. It was quiet, almost too quiet. The first thing I noticed that night wasn't anything dramatic. Just the way the air moved inside the room. At first I ignored it. Old buildings. Half ways of air finding its way in. But the breeze kept shifting the drapes slightly in slow intervals, and the movement didn't seem random. It seemed to come in patterns. I sat on the edge of the bed watching it for longer than I meant to, trying to convince myself that it was normal. But then the air changed direction. It shifted toward me, subtle but unmistakable. I told myself I was imagining it. Travel fatigue, a long day, a new environment. Until I stepped into the hallway, and the air moved again. The hallway was narrow, with a single dim light at the far end. And as soon as I stepped out of the room, I felt the same current of air pass by me, like something had moved past my shoulder, but the hallway was empty. I walked slowly toward the stairs, and each step echoed softly in the quiet building. Halfway down the hall, I felt it again. The air shifted. And that was when I noticed something else. The wind outside had stopped completely. The silence pressed in around the building. I didn't run. There wasn't any sudden fear, just a growing awareness that I wasn't alone in the way I had assumed I was. There was something else sharing this space with me, something that I couldn't see. I reached the bottom of the stairs and I stepped out into the street. The night air was still, not even a breeze. And the desert stretched out beyond the edge of town, quiet and unmoving under the stars. For a moment, everything felt completely normal again. But then the wind returned. But it didn't come from the open desert. It came from behind me, from inside the building. A soft current of air moved past me and out onto the street, and then it stopped as if it had reached a boundary. I turned slowly and the doorway behind me stood open, dark and empty. But the air felt different, charged in a way that's hard to describe. Not threatening, just present. And that's when something shifted in my understanding. Because nothing about the experience felt hostile. There was no aggression, no attempt to frighten me. No escalation. The stories I had read about the jinn, beings made of something unseen, something that moves through the air, something that exists alongside us without needing to reveal itself. I stood there for a long time, the doorway behind me, the silent desert ahead, and the strange awareness that whatever had been inside that building had chosen not to follow me outside. Eventually, I went back up to the room and the air inside was still again. The curtain didn't move and the hallway was now quiet. Everything looked exactly as it had before. The experience changed the way I think about things that exist just outside of our understanding. Because whatever shared that space with me that night didn't feel like something dangerous. It felt like something aware, something curious. Something that noticed me the same way I had finally noticed it. And ever since then, I've had a hard time accepting the idea that everything unknown should be feared. Because sometimes the only thing separating fear from understanding is the moment you realize you were never the only one observing the situation. Sometimes you're the one being observed all along. And that's the tale of the wind that knew my name. Welcome in, everybody. If you're new here, my name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. I am here Oh, really? I am here every single night from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. I do write and record all these stories myself. So if you like them, you can listen whenever you would like on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. I also have all the links in my bio. I also premiere a new story of the week every Monday, which is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So feel free to join us tomorrow on my YT channel to watch that premiere at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got a new story coming. All right, and you guys know what time it is. It is grilled cheese time. So grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax, and welcome to the porch. I'll be right back with the night shift at Sycamore Diner. Glinda, is it your birthday tomorrow? Wait, Justin, your birthday? It's your birthday? Justin, it's your birthday already here. Happy birthday. Justin, happy birthday. We love you. Yes, Jesse, this is the last story of the night. Thank you, Puerto Rican Shorty. Thank you, Tanisha. Thank you, Kim. Also, if you guys ever want to know the live hours, they are on the screen, on the moving banner, all night long, right there, moving on the screen. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. I'm not usually the kind of person who pulls over on back roads at night. Not unless I absolutely have to. But that night, something about the storm, the long drive, and that growling pit in my stomach convinced me otherwise. I was hungry. It was late October, and I was headed back to campus after a weekend visit with my friends in North Carolina. I had a midterm on Monday, and my plan had been to drive straight through, 5 hours, no stops. But then came the rain, one of those cold, slanted, whispery rains that creeps into your bones and makes the windshield wipers sound like a heartbeat. I had taken the wrong exit trying to bypass traffic, and I ended up on a 2-lane back road, surrounded by nothing but pine trees and power lines. And that's when I saw the neon sign. SYCAMRE Diner. The O in Sycamore was flickering like it hadn't worked right in years, but the rest was lit up in a cherry red neon. A tiny beacon in the middle of nowhere. Thank you, Sherry. I figured I'd grab a quick bite, maybe some coffee, check my map, and get back on the highway. But I should have just kept driving. I should have known something was off the second I stepped inside. The bell over the door jingled, but not like a normal bell. It made this sharp metallic ping that echoed longer than it should have. The air inside was warm, almost too warm, and it smelled like grilled onions and pancake syrup. The place looked like it had been yanked straight from 1957. Checkerboard floor, red vinyl booths, a long counter with spinning stools, even a jukebox in the corner that looked like it hadn't worked in decades. And the people, they all stopped and looked at me the second I walked in. Not in a rude way, just quiet, like they weren't expecting me, like I'd walked into the middle of a sentence that no one wanted to finish. A waitress, tall with a beehive hairdo and a light blue uniform, smiled and waved me over. "You get caught in the rain, sweetheart," she said, handing me a laminated menu. I nodded, still trying to shake off that weird feeling. "Yeah, the highway's a mess." She chuckled and patted my shoulder. "Well, you're safe here. Sycamore's always open for travelers." I sat down at a corner booth. The vinyl creaked, and I remember the jukebox shifted songs by itself and started playing some slow doo-wop ballad that I didn't recognize. I looked around and everyone looked normal, sort of. There was a trucker with a thick gray beard drinking coffee at the counter. A young couple whispering to each other in a booth by the jukebox. And an older woman stirring tea like she was lost in thought. But they all had the same look in their eye, like they were there but also somewhere else. Like they were watching me out of the corner of their eyes even when they were looking down. The waitress came back with coffee, strong, hot, and surprisingly good. And I ordered a grilled cheese with fries. Simple, safe. She wrote it down with one of those clicky pens and said, "Don't worry, it's on the house tonight." And that was my second red flag. No diner just gives food away. While I waited, I took out my phone to check the map. No signal, and I mean nothing. No bars, no Wi-Fi, not even GPS. Just a blank screen with a spinning wheel. I glanced out the foggy window, and the storm was still going. But now the wind had picked up and I could see the power lines swaying like jump ropes in the dark. But the diner stayed perfectly lit. Not even a flicker. The food came fast. Too fast, like under 5 minutes. But it looked amazing. Golden bread, gooey cheese, crispy fries with a little metal cup of ketchup on the side. I took a bite. Delicious. I mean, I've eaten at a lot of diners, greasy spoons, college joints, and roadside shacks, but this was hands down the best grilled cheese I've ever had. The fries were perfect, and the coffee never ran out. Every time I took a sip, it was somehow full again. I was halfway through the sandwich when the trucker got up to leave. He walked right past my table, nodded once, and whispered, "Don't stay past midnight." That's all he said. What? But he was already out the door. The waitress gave me a tight smile and walked over, collecting his empty mug. "Old Earl, he's always saying weird stuff. Just ignore him." But I couldn't. Something about his voice stuck with me. Something about the way he looked at me. Not like I was a customer, but like I was in danger. I checked the clock over the register. 11:42. I figured I had just enough time to finish my fries, grab the check, and head out. I still had at least 3 hours left on the road. But when I stood up, the lights flickered. Just once, and then again. And then everything in the diner stopped moving. The couple by the jukebox froze mid-sentence. The woman with the tea stopped stirring, her spoon hanging in midair. The waitress, her hand reached out for a mug, just stopped. Like someone hit pause on the entire scene. I took a step back and the jukebox buzzed, glitched, and restarted a new track. I could still move, but no one else could. And then I heard it. Not music, not a storm, a voice. Not coming from anyone I could see. Just a whisper that seemed to echo from the walls themselves. I backed toward the door, my heart hammering in my chest. I turned the knob. Locked. Of course it was locked. I tried the windows, but they were sealed shut. I started banging on the glass and shouting, but no one was outside. Just wind and rain and that flickering red sign. SYCAMRE. Hi, Jade. I turned back toward the dining room and everyone was gone. Not frozen anymore, just gone. The booths were empty. No plates, no crumbs, no mugs. No sign that anyone had ever even been there. Except for my plate. Still warm and still half-eaten. And then I saw the waitress. She was standing by the kitchen doors, her silhouette backlit by flickering fluorescent light. Her face was wrong. The same smile, but her eyes were empty, black, and endless, like someone had painted over them. "You shouldn't be here, honey," she said in that same cheerful voice. "Not yet." I stumbled back, knocking over a chair as she took one slow step toward me. The others, they were waiting, but you just wandered in. She raised a hand, and the walls began to shimmer. Literally shimmer. Like heat waves on asphalt. The checkered floor rippled and the red booths started to fade, becoming outlines and then shadows and then nothing. And then I saw it, underneath the illusion. It was charred wood, cracked tile, broken beams, and black soot, like the diner had burned down long ago. I ran. I don't even remember how I got out. One second I was inside and the next I was on the side of the road, soaked to the bone and gasping for air. My car was still there, parked on gravel that didn't even look like a lot anymore, just weeds and puddles. No neon sign. No glowing windows, just nothing. I drove back to campus that night in silence. No music. No Porch Lore podcast. I kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see that red neon flicker back to life. I didn't tell anyone. Not for weeks. Not until I finally looked up Sycamore Diner on a local history site. And I found it. It burned to the ground in 1972. A gas leak. The whole place went up at midnight. And everyone inside was killed. 5 patrons, a waitress, and a cook. The photo in the article? Same checkerboard floor, same red booths, same neon sign. SYCAMORE. And in the corner of the photo, that same waitress, smiling. Thank you, Spooky Bestie, for helping with my gallery. I never took that back road again. I don't even drive at night anymore if I can help it. And every time I see a neon diner sign, something in me flinches just a little. Because I know I was there. And I know I wasn't supposed to be. But the part that keeps me up sometimes, the part that really makes my stomach turn, that was the best damn grilled cheese I've ever had. And I didn't even pay for it. And that's the tale of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. Happy Sunday, Porch Pals, and with that, I will say goodnight. Thank you for spending your evening with me. I love you guys so very much. I love spending my evenings with you, and I just love the community we're building. Hopefully, I will see you guys tomorrow at the premiere on YT at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if not, I'll see you guys again tomorrow night, same time, same place, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you guys get some lovely sleep. If you can't sleep, head on over to my YT channel. There is a bedtime stories playlist that I promise will help you sleep. And don't forget, stay spooky. Also, Skrilla, thank you for the lovely gifts. And thank you, Jules and Robin, and Spooky Bestie, and Kim and Sherry. Sweet dreams, everybody. Stay spooky.